Well, my brother and my sister both played competitively when they were small, young. And I played, but I did it for fun. So I played a little bit in high school, and then I played some in college, and then I started a family. So after I had my first son, I started playing and going to clinics, and then I started hearing about the tennis league, and we started out as C players, and you kind of move up, and so and that's I did it for exercise and just to meet people. That was why I wanted to do it. But I enjoy the sport also. I have to be honest with you, I don't know how the Working Women's League was established to begin with, because I started playing in it. So I'm guessing that it was a lot of women who wanted to play tennis but worked. So it probably started off small and then kind of grew. So when I started playing in it, it was probably, I want to say it was 1996.
Okay.
And I started playing with a team in Eastwood. And I mean, I just started clinicking, and then our tennis pro kind of wanted to put together a team for the league. And that's how I started. I started as a player. Oh, definitely. Working women, I mean, it is going to be all about the time of day, because if you work, you cannot play during the day. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of it too is that is their exercise. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what you can do, and a little bit different than working out in a gym, because you're with a group of friends. And you're exactly right. The leagues or the teams start and they're formed and they stay together. And they do develop a real strong friendship, and it's fun. Yeah. I mean, it's just fun to get together with these ladies. And sometimes, I mean, we only play 4 lines a night, and you can have 25 people on your team. So a lot of times you have those 8 people playing, because it's all doubles. So you have those 8 people playing, but you might have 10 people from the team that come out and watch. So it still is kind of a time for socialization and exercise and fun.
So the women that aren't playing, like in those 4 lines, do they hit around and they work out too, or do they just kind of spectate that week? How does that work?
They usually spectate, because a lot of I think we have 26 or more locations. So depending on your location will depend on your court availability. So where I play out of, we only have 4 courts. So when we play our tennis matches on Thursday evenings, which I'm not playing tonight because I'm with you.
Thank you. So you're not one of the 8 tonight.
I'm not an 8 tonight, or a spectator. So a lot of times there's not that room to enjoy play if you're not actually playing in a match, in a scheduled match. But it is fun just to watch. I mean, I love going out and watching.
Yeah. So. Do they have so somebody puts together the schedule, and then some of the ladies will go to another site to play. Those 8 will go there, whoever shows up. And then how long does the season last for the league?
Well, a normal season, we're going to start usually in August, or the end of August, or right after Labor Day. This year's been different because of the virus. Yeah. So we did not start until October this year. And then we usually wrap everything up. Now we have Christmas breaks and Thanksgiving breaks, and we do spring break. And we usually all the matches are usually completed by April, mid-April.
So it goes from September all the way to April.
Yes.
That's awesome. It's like a long season, which I like.
Yes. And then there's another league. Now it isn't the Central Florida Working Women's League, but it's called a summer league. And they kind of take over after probably the end of May. They do June, July, and go into a little bit of August. Sometimes I'll have a single player contact me, or we have a board, or the secretary, and they'll want to find a team. So a lot of times our secretary is aware of teams that may be looking for players. So she's able to direct that player to a captain.
And how do the levels work? Is it like open to anyone, or do you have to be a certain level to play?
Well, in our league, what we've done is we just have one division, and it's all an A division, but we have different levels in that division. So we have a plus, we have a 1, we have a 2, we have a 3. So the beginner players would be down in the 3rd, and the more experienced players would be in 1 and plus.
Okay.
And so you just kind of move along. And we do that because the weight league has their rules are more defined than what ours are. So if they play on a day, they can play on a night, but they have to play a level above. They have to play above what they play during the day. So we don't want to exclude anybody that wants to play. So that works so that the day players that want to play are able to come onto a night team if they want to play on a night team as well.
And how many players are in the league right now? I mean, I know COVID's kind of weird, but like, what's the rough estimate of the number of people who play in the league?
I'm going to say our team limit of players is 25 per team, and we have 25 teams. I would say around 600.
Okay.
About 600. I'm estimating about 600 or a little more maybe. Our radius. I mean, we have teams. I would say, like, if you put a pinpoint right in the center, we probably go out maybe 40 or 50 miles in all directions. So we have Sanlando, we have Sylvan Lake, we have Hunters Creek, we got things by Disney, we've got things downtown, we've got Avalon. So it's kind of a large area. And, if yeah, of course, we could find a fit for them. Or if they have a team, if they're in that radius. And a captain can form a team, of course. We're always looking for new teams, new players, always.
And what about new facilities to host? Like, is that something that is neat? I mean, you seem to cover a very wide swath. Are there facilities in Central Florida that you would say, oh, I'd love to actually get them to participate in the Working Women's League because we have a gap over there?
Yeah, depending on, a lot of our teams are out of communities. So like Hunters Creek, that's a large community, and they have tennis courts. Now, one of the problems that we run into being a working women's league is we play at night. Yeah. So how many women are like, can we go to the USTA, the new center in Lake Nona? And I'm like, yeah, you could if they had lights. We play at night. Yeah. So, but yeah, I would love it if they had lights and could host teams at night.
So if the campus could host teams at night, that would be helpful to you?
Yes.
Oh yeah, they have plenty of lights, and we just need. So what are the times that these matches happen? That's what I'm really curious. Like, like in softball, our earliest would be like 6:30 or 6:45, and then you could play as late as 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Like that was pretty much what you had to block off depending on when your game was.
Our warm-ups begin at 7.
Okay.
And they warm up, and they can warm up between 7 and 7:30. They exchange a lineup, I think, at 7:25, and then they start play at 7:30. Again, just depending on how long the match lasts. Sometimes the facilities that I'm trying to think of an example. Oops, I'm sorry. Fort Gatlin.
Okay.
I believe they have a city ordinance on their lights, so they have to turn off their lights at a certain time.
Right.
So in that case, if they don't finish, then they go back. They schedule something between, if it's one line, they schedule something between those four people, and then they finish it up on a different night.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but some facilities will let you keep the lights on, until 11. All the facilities are different, again, because some of them are parks,
Right.
and St. Lando,
Yeah.
they go out at 10. So, it's different depending on what facility or what community that you're playing out of. Well, I don't do it by myself. Believe me, I couldn't. I have the best board. I have a secretary, I
Okay.
have a treasurer, I
Okay.
have a lady who does the rules and reviews. Um, she would take the protest. We don't have a lot of protests because, again, this is kind of a fun
Yeah.
type of
Yeah.
league. And everybody, when you've played in it for so long, you know people and they become your friends. So it's kind of like you're playing your friends,
It's
even when
friendly.
you're
Right.
playing
It's
with your friends
friendly.
and you're playing against your friends.
Yeah.
So it really is more of a social
Hmm.
exercise get together.
And they,
And then I have a social committee, and some of them have subcommittees underneath them.
okay.
So, and then I really try to help out, mostly with the social committee, planning awards, the banquets. We do a tournament every year. We have a captain and co-captains round robin that we do. Now, because of COVID, we didn't get to do our banquet last year. And then, depending on how things go, we'll see what happens this year. But we do try to follow all the CDC guidelines. We do that usually in January,
Okay.
and it's just a tournament where one we have to have one of the league members on the team, and you sign up as a team. It's all doubles,
Okay.
and you sign up in a level, and then we put together a schedule. We do that schedule. Our main schedule for the whole entire season, we have a gentleman that does that for us, and the secretary works with him to do that.
Okay. Are there any other things that we could do at USTA Florida in terms of like resources or help or anything? I mean, I love what you're doing. This is like one of my favorite things. I would love to see other areas do it. Like I think there's someone in Jacksonville that does one. I don't know how big it is, but they have court availability issues because there's not many public sites up there. But I think there are other areas of the state that like this is pretty magical. So what else could we do to provide support or assistance to you guys?
Well, it'd be now. I have always been told that the new center in Lake Nona does not have lights. Am I
They
incorrect?
No, they have lights,
They do have lights.
but they close early. So we've been advocating for several years to get them to stay open later so that people could play. But no, they have plenty of lights everywhere.
What time do they close?
Depends on the day. So I think, and don't quote me on this because I haven't looked at the schedule in a long time, but I think for a while during the week it was 9, and then on like Fridays it's 8. Um, and we kept saying to them, we could get more players here, but you'd need to be willing to stay open a little later to get the night leagues happening. I think we've reached a point where they're open to that, which is why I was asking like if that was something that we could help with, because I think I can go over there and say, you guys have an opportunity here to really form some teams. And I will tell you that you've got so many people just in my office alone, me included, that if there was a fun night league, like not a USTA league, nothing against my own USTA leagues, but it's not my jam. I want something fun. And I think a lot of my colleagues would too, but they don't offer that. You have USTA league, but even that, like, there's not much for women. And then you have to be you have to be on the certain level to make it on the team. So it's not like, hey, me and my friends could like sign up and play and we're all pretty mediocre, middle of the road. It would be, oh, you're a 3-0, you go over here, you're a 4-0, you go over here, and y'all can't play together. And so I think that most of the people even working in our office would really enjoy playing on a working women's league.
Yeah, well, if we had light, because I've had so many people ask me,
That's
because
good to know.
sometimes oh, there are some of the parks that can host more teams per Thursday night. Redbug, San
Yeah,
Leandro.
yeah.
Azalea is a little smaller, so it's tougher for them. Fort Gatlin. So
Mhm.
I do have a lot of teams that want a place to play out of. They
Yeah.
just don't have it. And 10 o'clock is kind of ideal from
Okay.
like 7 till 10.
That's good to
Um,
know. If you gave me an idea, like, and you don't have to do it now, but if you have my email now. So if you gave me an idea of like how many teams are we talking about that would like to play out at the campus, that would be helpful because that would give me an idea of like, okay, this is when the season runs. This is how many teams you get. This is kind of how this works. And then they might be able to tell me, well, if they play, I know you do Thursday nights, maybe they'd come back and say, hey, if they do Wednesdays, we'd be able to accommodate them. And I could kind of see why it may be that Thursday is difficult for them. I don't really know. Like I said, we haven't had this conversation in probably well, it's definitely over a year because of COVID. And last year, before COVID, we were talking about doing some sort of summer thing with them where it would be in the evenings and they were willing to stay open later for us to do like a summer evening type of thing. But then COVID happened and we never did it. So I think now would be a great time, looking ahead to like a September start is to say we could even do like a kickoff, like a US Open kickoff celebration maybe thing in September and have them out to the campus to say, "Hey, play here." Um, but yeah, I can work on that if you send me some details of like how many teams and the season start, season end, dates, and those kinds of things.
yeah, well, I told our length of the season. I told you about the time, the evenings. I've been on this league for, oh my gosh, since 1996.
Mhm.
And it's always been a Thursday. I don't know why that was established like that, but it's always been a Thursday. And that seems to work for these 600 women. So,
Yeah.
change isn't good sometimes.
And that's good to know, and, the thing about it that, I've worked at USA Florida for almost 10 years, and so I have observed the campus and done many events there over the last 4 years since it's been open. The collegiate courts, which are sort of have you been there before? So you kinda know
And,
the
and
layout?
I have worked with, did you know Doug Booth?
Yes, he was my boss before I took
Okay,
on
so
the role.
I worked with Doug Booth for a
Ah,
long time. So
okay, so
that's
yeah,
how, when I started out doing this, I mean, I've always been some kind involved with the board somehow, because I
okay.
started as a recorder and then I moved up. I've done rules and review, and then I moved up to social committee, and now I'm where I am now. But and then also Alexis.
Yeah, Alexis Johnson, our
I
foundation.
and so when we do our tournaments, a lot of times I will touch base, of course, not with Doug anymore because he's retired, but I'll touch base with Alexis and I'll say, can you come to the tournament? And sometimes she'll come, she'll bring water, she'll bring stuff, regarding the license plates, to
Yep,
pass out to
yep.
the participants. She usually always attends our banquet,
Okay, yep,
and she'll have a table and she'll have information about USTA.
yep,
Now, that would be a good introduction at banquet
yep.
to maybe offering, our courts are available. We do have lights. We could host these matches for you. We could put a team in there.
Okay, so
Um,
let me work on that. I think so the collegiate courts at the campus, there's 12 courts that are lit and they're if you come into the campus, they're to the right. So UCF plays there. That's their home courts. And they do host night college matches from time to time. Like this time of year is the season when they do that. But when they're not using the collegiate courts, one of the things that I've observed is that nobody plays on them at night. And they're sort of by themselves, like, you can leave the lights on, like, it doesn't require the campus to light the whole thing and really worry about the whole campus. So, when we were looking at doing the summer circuit that we wanted to do, that was what our proposal was we would use the collegiate courts. So, I think that if you guys don't seem to have a preference of hard court, clay court, whatever, because you're more like a fun league, I think there are opportunities. There's 12 courts over there that are lit and are kind of on their own that typically aren't used unless there's a collegiate thing happening. So that's an option. But again, I'm happy to take whatever parameters that you guys have and take that to the woman who's overseeing the campus and sit down with her in the next few months and say, what do you think about this? It's a great opportunity to get some teams going here and get some more play here. And I think she'd be very open to it, actually.
Okay, yeah, that would be something. Another introduction to it would be we do two captains meetings
Okay.
a year. Now, again, because of COVID,
Mm.
I I don't know. I think we're going to have to do this captain's meeting in an email, just because
Yeah.
where we usually meet, I think will be two closed quarters for all my captains to get into. Um, but that would be a introduction too. But I do also have the ability to send out email blast to
Okay.
all of our members.
Okay.
So I would be able to send that out. Uh, Now, if they, said, "Oh, we want to play out of like, no, we want to play there," then that would be their home courts.
Mhm.
So that would be where they would be scheduled for the entire season. So, my only concern would be if they have something else going on, then that would leave them without a court.
They'd
Uh,
probably just move them. So,
oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
I mean, there's 100 courts there.
Oh,
So,
yeah, okay. Then no
I
problem.
mean,
Yeah.
it would be very unusual that on a Thursday night, like, they host a lot of large events for us. It's Has I think it's only happened twice in the 4 years that I've been there that they've used all 100 courts at the same time.
Okay. Okay. Oh,
So it
okay.
would be very unusual, and that might just be like, "Hey, for that 1 week, maybe we need to move the matches if it's," but it's very unusual. They would have to have, like, they run the NCAA championships, but those happen in May. So it seems like a
Yeah.
lot of the big things they do
Yeah.
wouldn't really conflict so much with what you guys have going on, and it's more regular play, which I think are their goals. We started out doing a lot of big events there, and that's fine. I mean, it's a great place to have big events because you have 100 tennis courts, which is
Right.
wonderful.
Right.
But I think, like all tennis facilities, what we really want to see is regular play. So having a team that plays every Thursday night and you've got wonderful matches going on Thursdays from September or October through April is wonderful. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I'm happy to kind of float that by them once you send me the parameters. And I think there's a good shot we could kind of get a team out of there and get something going.
okay, yeah, that would be, and again, like I said, some of our cores, and we have, I think, 26 facilities that the teams play out of. That could
Mhm.
be from a park to a country club.
Yeah.
So I know sometimes or a community, sometimes when you're playing in a community or a country club, you have a lot of restrictions. You have a ratio of residents, or you have to have a membership.
Yeah.
So, depending on the cost, and that would be another thing that I would want to know because the team pays for their
Yeah.
costs. So, and they pay usually for the whole season.
Mhm.
But a lot of teams that are restricted to strict ratios per resident, non-resident, that's a great option. The whole team might get together and say, okay, this is what we want. Everybody pay this amount, and I'll just make sure they're paid each. you know match.
Yeah, I could go. I mean, this area, like you mentioned Hunters Creek, like this area where, because I live about 7 miles from the campus, is mostly working. It's working people. There's a lot of working women here. There's a lot of people, even in my neighborhood, that are always asking for like, what is there for women to do? What are there for people to do who work? Like, what recreational options are there that isn't a gym? And I think even after COVID, that became more of a question because people are like, I don't want to go back to the gym. What else can I do?
Yeah. So
Obviously I'm excited personally because I would love to see a working women's team at the campus because I'd be willing to join that. But if that doesn't work out, I'm just excited that you were able to share with me what is working and what you all have been able to do. I think it's really amazing. And you've done a lot for filling a tennis need here. So maybe some other individuals in other areas of the state would pick up on the idea and start a working women's league in their area, which would be fun to see.
great. Yeah, that's great.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Bonnie. I appreciate your time. And if there, we'll be in touch, I'm sure, many more times. I'm pleased to meet you. I'm glad you've worked with Jag and Alexis. And I've been to the weight banquet myself. It was a number of years ago. So I don't know if you guys do the same. You have the same banquet they do or a different one.
Well, ours is more of a party.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest with you right
that
now.
one was more of a party too, I
It's
think.
dancing and it's having wine and it's eating a meal. And there's very little structure to it besides handing out awards. And then I always try to have vendors there,
Yeah.
so people can buy. So ours is very casual, no
I love
structure.
that. Well, I think did Bob Fender come to your banquet from time to time too? Do you know Bob?
I don't know if I no, I don't remember. I mean, when I'm there,
You're
I'm
you're
pulled in
partying when you're
20
there.
directions. I have no idea who I'm meeting. I'm all over the
Oh,
place.
good. No.
So,
I know Doug always spoke highly of going. He loved the ladies leagues in Central Florida and was very supportive of them. Always said great positive things. So I'm glad that you guys have continued to do that. And if there's a way we can help, we will keep doing it.